Is it safe? What's up, everyone? My name is Spector, and welcome back to my channel. And happy Pride Month, the one month where we celebrate the history and the overcoming of hardships of the LGBT community. And one of the biggest hardships that we have is honestly just coming out. In a lot of places in the world, it's still very much illegal, or at least very looked down upon, to be LGBT. And I know that there are a lot of people out there who really want to come out, but are just too scared to do so because of the possible backlash. I too was in that boat at one point, and now I have come out. And I would like to take and share with you my story of how I came out, and maybe some advice for you all to take and come out yourselves. I have struggled with my sexuality for a long time, and it wasn't until 2020 where I finally come to the realization that yes, I'm gay. I am gay, and there's not really anything I can do to change that. So I wanted to come out. I wanted to come out to my friends. I wanted to come out to my family. And living where I live, it's very hit or miss on whether or not they're going to react positively. But I still wanted to come out. I still wanted to come out to my friends and family. I wanted to let them know essentially that I probably won't have a wife and kids. That there might be at some point where I will take and have a boy in my arms rather than a girl. So to test the waters, the first person that I told, and honestly had a pretty good idea of what they were going to say and how they were going to take it, was one of my best friends. In fact, there's so much of one of my best friends that I honestly consider them my brother. But one day I was driving home from work, and I called up my friend to be like, hey, I have something that I need to tell you. I'm gay. And his response was, ain't nothing but a thing. Yeah, that's honestly about the answer that I expected. Of course, this was a positive answer, but I know this person well enough to where I know they're not going to be mad at me for being gay or be disgusted that I'm gay. He's just going to be like, okay. And of course, the next person that I ended up telling, because his answer was also fairly predictable, is my actual brother. And his response was, of course, positive. Didn't exactly have any expectations there of negativity or anything. He's pretty chill about that. So he's just like, okay, you're gay, whatever. But then I wanted to come out to my dad and my stepmother. I didn't exactly know how I was going to go about this, but my brother did offer to be by my side when I at least told my stepmother, who was at home most of the time. And he constantly reassured me that she probably wouldn't actually care. She would be absolutely okay with it. So I set up a date. I set up a plan, and I went in and froze for at least a good hour until I finally broke down and just told her. And I have to say that that was definitely one of the most comforting, open times in my life. She accepted me with open arms. She said that there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And she even told me that she's actually kind of bi. So, yeah, I guess we're on mutual ground. And then I asked her, how do you think my dad is going to take it? And she didn't exactly know how he was going to take it. But she knew that I probably wouldn't be in any trouble or have any issues with it. So I didn't go in there with any expectations on whether or not it was going to be positive or not. I would have accepted a neutral answer either way. So when he came home that afternoon, I finally stopped him and said, hey, Dad, I've got something I want to tell you. I'm gay. And his response was, I know. How? How did you know? And he told me a couple things that I may have seen in your room, and I stopped him right there and was like, oh, yeah. And if you all don't know what I'm talking about, I released a video several weeks ago and a few videos ago where I kind of go into how my father discovered certain objects of mine. I will leave a link to that video somewhere at the end of the video, in the description, probably even in the comments. So if you would like to go check out how my dad discovered certain phallic objects of mine, then yeah, you can go watch that. But anyway, back to the story. After that, I was reassured that, yeah, I think I'll be okay. I think I'll be fine coming out to the rest of my family. And also, one of the things that really helped to reassure a lot of that is the fact that one of my cousins is a lesbian. And she's been out to the rest of the family for quite some time, so I don't think anybody would have any issues with it. So I made a post on my personal Facebook account telling everyone that, hey, I have decided that to bring upon a much better future for myself, I was not going to hide who I was, and I came out as gay. And to no surprise from what everybody else was telling me, everybody was okay with it. Everybody was welcoming with open arms. And honestly, me worrying about it was something that was all in my head to begin with. Now, of course, there are some people in my family who are not particularly too happy at the fact that I am gay, but that is neither here or there. Yeah, I still have to talk to them for the most part, but I don't let them control me. So anyway, enough about me. What is some advice that I could give to the rest of you about coming out to the rest of your family, or friends, or whoever really? First and foremost, know your surroundings and know who you want to tell first. This is the reason why I wanted to tell one of my best friends, because, well, he wasn't really going to say anything negative about it. I also knew he wasn't going to go tell everybody else that I was, mostly for safety reasons. But I do recommend that you do actually know this person very, very well, because I am all too familiar with one friend telling another friend that, hey, I am LGBT or whatever, gay, lesbian, trans. It doesn't matter. If you take and tell them to, hey, keep this a secret, sometimes they'll just go tell everybody anyway. I will tell you now that that is probably not your friend, and you should probably immediately ditch that person at any possible chance you can get. So only tell someone who is trustworthy. And also make sure you don't tell your family first, because sometimes the family matters can be far worse than the friend matters. So the second piece of advice I can give is, if you do tell your family or even just other friends, make sure that the friend that you have told that you can trust is with you. If anything does go wrong, then this person can be there to not only be of comfort, but they can also be there to help get you out of any sort of negative situation. And if things get violent, then they can be ones to not only help defend, but also have 911 on speed dial just in case. Because yes, even though we want to believe that we live in this happy-go-lucky world, some people, knowing that their child is LGBT, those people can get violent. We just have to accept the fact that that is something that can happen, and we need to solve it. And having a mediator to help you come out is probably one of the biggest advantages that you will have. And the third piece of advice I can give is never come out if you're not ready. If you do know that there's a good possibility that if you tell other people, especially your family, that things can get violent or abusive, then always have a backup plan so you can get out of that abusive situation. Your friends and maybe your close family that you have already told should be there in order to give you a safe place just in case things go awry. I know all too well that there are a lot of situations, especially where I live and even further south of where I live, people respond very violently to LGBT people. That's not good to deal with, especially on a one-to-one basis, but it's also something that I absolutely hate watching my LGBT brothers and sisters go through. So, like I said, please always have a contingency plan just in case things do get bad, because I can guarantee you then in a lot of cases, things may get bad. But I can assure you that as long as you can finally get out of that bad situation, I can see nothing but prosperity for you. Prosperity for not only just continuing to live as yourself, but also being there for other people to be like, hey, I know what you're going through. I've been in the exact same situation. Let's get out of this situation together. And the last piece of advice that I can really give is seek online help. I believe that anyone who is LGBT should honestly go and be part of some sort of community that is open and welcoming to the LGBT community. One of those communities that I just so happen to fall into is the furry fandom. The furry fandom, despite having a lot of problem itself, much like any other fandom would, is very welcoming and opening to the LGBT community. It's honestly one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to be a furry to begin with, other than the community aspect and the fact that yes, I do like anthropomorphic animals. That is something that I grew up with for pretty much all of my life and still watch on a very regular basis. So naturally, I just kind of fell into this group, and it's been honestly a great ride ever since. I love being part of this community. I'm glad that we are so open to the LGBT community, and while this isn't the only group that is open to that, I'd still definitely recommend people going and finding a group. I will always argue that friendship is very powerful, and having more friends to be with, to be comforted by, as well as to comfort others as well, is something I think that everyone should actually be a part of. It is called the LGBT community for a reason. It's called the furry community for a reason. We should all be here to help others along as best as we possibly can. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, I would love to take and hear your comments on the whole Pride Month and maybe the furry being open to LGBT. Is it the most open to LGBT community out there? But I would definitely love to hear your all's input on it. And everyone, if you like this video, I have got plenty more videos where that came from. It would be awesome if you go check some of them out. And of course, I have other links and stuff to my socials down below if you're interested in that stuff. I also stream regularly on Twitch and would love to see you all there and hang out. And that's where I'm going to go ahead and leave this video. Happy Pride Month, everyone. You have an amazing day, an amazing Pride Month, and we will see you in the next one. Spectre,